K. Rool, Diddy Kong, Donkey Kong.
Well, here we are. Donkey Kong, one of the biggest, most popular arcade games of all time. And it's weird to think about its origins, because you hear about how it came about. You wouldn't think that it would go on to become one of the greatest games of all time, but isn't that how a lot of things start? So for those who don't know, Nintendo, they originally started out, 1800, somewhere around there, and they were mainly a toy company. Their decision to go into video games largely stemmed from desires from the then President Hiroshi Yamauchi. And mainly they wanted to compete with the likes of, Pac-Man or Frogger, the big iconic games that we've already covered here on this channel. And they'd made a few games. One of the big name to come out of Donkey Kong here is Shigeru Miyamoto, and he was mainly an art director in games like Sheriff, who, if you've played Smash 4 or Smash Ultimate, you might recognize that weird pixelated cowboy assist trophy. Well, that was a early Nintendo arcade game, Sheriff. And he was also involved in another game called Radar Scope. And while, Nintendo had some moderate success in the arcades, as well as stuff like the Game & Watch games that we've been playing, they still weren't able to break through and get something that's just a true Smash success. Radar Scope specifically, they made 3,000 machines for US markets, and they ended up only using 1,000 of them, and they ended up having 2,000 just sitting in a warehouse. And in order to kind of cost cut, save money, they were like, hey, Shigeru, turn this into a different game that we can actually sell. And at this point, Shigeru was kind of like, he was a little bit, he wasn't the top rung guy, and Shigeru himself even said that, they used me because they didn't have anyone else to do it. So kind of jokingly, but anyway, so this was his first project as a lead designer with Gunpei Yokoi, who you might recognize as the creator of the Game & Watch series, as well as, he's the head of Nintendo R&D 1 and all that. He was supervising the project. And the game actually underwent a lot of different forms, I guess you could say. Originally it was going to be a Popeye licensed game with you playing as Popeye and you're rescuing olive oil from Bluto. But I think they had issue securing the license or something like that, so... but still, Popeye kind of played a little bit of an inspiration to this game, as well as the likes of the Beauty and the Beast fairy tale, not the Disney movie, that came later, and King Kong as well, hence, Kong. And in fact, they specifically wanted to market to American audiences, and so even in Japan, this is called Donkey Kong. The idea behind the name, I guess they wanted to convey stupid ape, and I guess they were like conveying stupid with ass, and ass equals donkey, so Donkey Kong. Like stupid King Kong, I guess. I don't know. There was some logic there, I guess. But, as we've seen with a lot of these games that would go on to be Smash successes, a lot of the higher-ups weren't sold on the idea, but eventually they were convinced, like, okay, we'll give it a little bit of a try, and they would have small openings at places, and they just kept getting customers, getting people putting the coins in the machine, and there's lines forming out the block to play Donkey Kong, and eventually it just grew and grew from there into this mega monstrosity that we call the Nintendo Corporation now. So, yeah, this is kind of a big deal. This is a huge event in the history of gaming, certainly in the history of Smash Brothers. Not only is this the introduction of Donkey Kong, but it's also the introduction of Mario, quote-unquote. He's technically Jumpman here, but he would eventually evolve into the Mario character we would see later on. Named after Nintendo's landlord at the time, or the Nintendo of America's landlord for a certain warehouse, Mario Segale.
Hey, Mario!
People have often pointed out the irony of the guy who inspired Mario's name having Sega in his name, but, that joke has been run to the ground at this point. So, yeah, without further ado, I guess let's play Donkey Kong. I mean, it's tradition at this point. Boy, the sure went by a lot faster in the other games. And now we wait.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Okay. It said, how high can you get? The word get. So, I mean, I don't think I have to explain this game. I mean, who watching this has not played this game? But, for the 3 people who haven't played this game, the goal, at least in this level, is jump over the barrels and get to the top. And one of the weapons that you can utilize whilst doing this is, of course, your trusty hammer. Now, you can't jump while using this, but you are essentially invincible. I think a barrel can squeak by, potentially, but for the most part, yeah, you're pretty solid. Unless the hammer runs out right as soon as a barrel is about to hit you, then you die. So once again, I'm utilizing the Arcade Archives release to play this game. It took a while for the arcade version to get a re-release of any kind outside of its appearance in Donkey Kong 64. I don't really know the full story. I think there might have been some weird rights issue or something with the programming of it. So like the common usage of this game was, you know, the NES port that came out a couple years later. See, there's an example of the barrel getting by the hammer. So, hey, I didn't make that up. I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I'm playing the Arcade Archives version, and something that this release does do, which I really like, is that you can play different versions of this game that were released. There was the original version released in Japan, there was a later build that had a little bit of a update to it, and the version that was released internationally. I'm just grinding points at this point. And just like that, we save our girlfriend, Pauline. Not Peach, that came later. We don't have Mario and Peach, we have Jumpman and Pauline. So this level, which wasn't in the NES port, interestingly enough, we have conveyor belts up top, delivering what I can only assume are deadly pies. And we can still utilize a hammer, presumably. I kept jumping at it, and it wasn't... Oh well. Let's stop trying to show off. Let's just play the game here. So conveyor belts, deadly pies, and retractable ladders. Oh my. But as soon as you get to the top, then you don't even have to fight DK or anything. It's just, okay, that's it. Off to the next level. Now this level is so ominous, it doesn't even have music other than you know, the same kind of music we see in the Game & Watch soundtrack, of course. Now, this level's interesting because you can actually take multiple ways. There are multiple ways to move forward. I just skipped a whole bunch of the stuff going on at the bottom there. But if you want to take the safer path and just ride the platform down, well, then you have to do a little more platforming. Speaking of platforming, this is not the first example of a platformer, but it was certainly codified a lot of tropes about platforming, namely jumping and having multiple unique levels. I believe it was the first, if not one of the first, to have multiple unique levels. I've seen a lot of people say that this is one of the most complicated arcade games of its time, which is a interesting little factoid. Nintendo, always known for pushing the envelope, at least once upon a time. And as we all know, the best cure for fire is hammers. So obviously this level gets a little more complicated when you have more pits and more fire starts to spawn. And you do have a little bit of a time limit there. That bonus screen there is kind of acting as a little bit of a timer for you. I don't know what caused me to move left there, but okay. One more credit. No, I'm getting the hammer. This became an iconic item in Smash, and I have to connect it to Smash somehow, so I'm going to use it. So one of the things about this particular release, the later version that was released in Japan, is that while I'm like this, the barrels will not roll down the ladder. Now in the early version that was released in Japan, as well as the international version, the barrels can come down the ladder while I'm like this and kill me, but when I'm like this, I am completely invincible. So, just make things a little more bearable, I panicked. I thought I jumped, but no, I climbed the ladder, and then I didn't move. Oops. Yeah, you thought you had me there, huh? Thought you had me there, you stupid ape. I get the name now. Yeah, in case you were wondering why this level was removed from the NES version, well, because it's not so complicated. It's, if you had to remove a level, it was always going to be that one, let's be real. Alright, time for the rematch of Legends. For the first time, for the last time. Or is it the other way around? You know what'll help? An umbrella. And just like that, we have defeated one big monkey boy as an Italian plumber. And now we get to do it again!
Oh no!
I jumped. So the backstory for old Jumpman here is actually a little dark. Like, they hadn't fully established Mario, quote-unquote, as being a full-on hero quite yet. They're kind of setting up for what the eventual sequel would be, Donkey Kong Jr. The backstory to this game, as far as I can tell...
Not here.
I just did it again. is that Donkey Kong is supposed to be Jumpman's pet, I guess, and he's kind of was, I mean, without mincing words, abusing the monkey friend, I guess, and he just got mad and took his lady friend, and now you have to get her back. I thought I could make it. Well, I mean, we did beat the game, so that's one thing. I'll make my name that. Yeah, we'll do that. I don't know. You come up with something better. What do you want me to just type in ass like everyone else? No. But yeah, the backstory is that Mario is not a very good pet owner, and Donkey Kong was having enough of that, so he takes his revenge out on poor Pauline there. And that, of course, sets up for Donkey Kong Jr.'s quote-unquote plot, but, you know, we'll get to that eventually. Oh, that was a mistake. Just not a hard level at all. I was gonna show off what happens if you decide to just be dumb and run into Donkey Kong, but I don't have the exact positions for the spring memorized there, so I'll behave and actually do what the game wants me to do.
What was that noise?
Ah, you got baited. That's the risk. That's the risk when you decide to try to jump over Fireman over there. Fireball boy. No, I want my purse. When I rescue Pauline, I want to get her some nice gifts, alright? It's called being a gentleman. Aw, I wanted to get the umbrella. Well, I got you most of the gifts, but you know, you're gonna be a little hot in the summer, I guess. You can't have an umbrella. You know, you might get a little wet when it rains. I'm sorry about that.
Yes!
And I'm actually pulled it off, and then I died. So you'll note that there are some key differences with how these characters would be portrayed over the course of time compared to where they are in this game right now. For one, you'll note that obviously, you know, I've mentioned a few times at this point, the whole Jumpman Mario connection. You'll also note that the color of Mario's hat and overalls, the colors are changed compared to what his design is now. He has red overalls and a blue undershirt compared to having the blue overalls and red undershirt that he'd have later. Oh, you're just being mean now. And of course, this being Pauline and not Princess Peach, Pauline is not even a princess. She's just a girlfriend for Jump Mario here. This design obviously would go on to inspire Princess Peach, and Pauline later on would have a completely different look. You know what? Let's upset some people by naming this neither of the accepted names for this character. This is now Luigi. We're playing as Luigi. This is no longer Mario's game. This is Luigi's game. This is what we're doing, and that's the reason why Luigi came in second during that run, because it's Luigi. Of course, he can't get first place. Come on, it's Luigi. But yeah, continuing on from this point, you know, one could be forgiven for thinking that this iteration of Donkey Kong isn't too different compared to the Donkey Kong that we have in the modern age. Obviously, he's missing his iconic tie, but doesn't have the curly Q haircut. Was too busy looking at the ape to actually pay attention to the game. But, you know, you could say, well, those are slight differences, but, of course, it's been more or less confirmed now, I think, that this Donkey Kong is actually Cranky Kong in the later Donkey Kong games. I think there's been debate about whether Donkey Kong Jr. is the Donkey Kong that we know now, or if Donkey Kong Jr. is actually that Donkey Kong's father. I don't know how many generations of apes we're going down. I'll put in the average lifespan for a gorilla in editing right now, and you'll see. Okay, could Mario conceivably still be a young adult across 3 generations of monkeys? I'm kind of using monkey and ape interchangeably. What do I write for Dragon Ball?
A giant monster ape.
There, I got an umbrella after all. But yeah, moral of the story, contrary to the typical dynamic, this isn't Mario, Peach, and Bowser, or even Mario, Peach, and Donkey Kong. It's Jumpman, Pauline, and Donkey / Cranky Kong. So I suppose that means that the, all the characters that I introduced in that rundown at the beginning was, none of them are actually in this game. Oops. I was too busy looking at the camera, and I didn't pay it. I need to learn to pay attention to the game more. And for the record, the reason why I didn't include Mario in that character rundown, or any of the subsequent Mario characters, is because I consider Mario to be kind of its own thing. You know, there's a reason why the Smash logos have, you know, they have different icons for the characters in the Mario franchise versus the Donkey Kong franchise, right? So, technically, yeah, that means, you know, the Mario franchise is a spin-off series, for all intents and purposes, but... Okay, will you pick a lane? Okay, you're far enough away, whatever. But yeah, so... The Donkey Kong characters are the Donkey Kong characters, and when we get to a proper Mario quote-unquote game, I'll do the Mario rundown. I'll do the same thing with Wario and Yoshi. Or those are franchises that kind of spun off on their own thing, away from where they originally came from. Little hint into the future planning of this series. Oh, too far up. That hurt. Why would you make me do that? Mamma mia. That's my Chris Pratt Mario impression.
Let's go.
That's who I am. Chris Prattio, who of course is lower than Luigi. I smashed one whole barrel. I'm a hero who abuses his pets. I mean, look, we're not all perfect. Oh no! I landed in pie! Now my shoes are all messy! Oh, hey, I stopped the ape. I wanted to face off against the fire. That's my real mortal enemy. So obviously when it gets to repeating levels and all that, the levels do get harder compared to where they were. I thought I jumped there, but okay. They get harder compared to where they were in the L equals 1 category. The L equals 2 category is harder than that, and if you're able to get past this, then the L equals 3 category would be even harder than that. There is a limit where it gets to a point where, so I believe the,
I made a boo-boo, yeah.
Dang it. The time limit that you have there with the bonus, that also starts draining faster, and it gets to a point where it is physically impossible to do anything in this game, where the time just runs out too fast. So a lot of people consider that as the real beating of the game, but you know, I ain't that crazy. Ew. Well, that's life, I guess. Lots of bad things can happen in life. You have, I mean, this very game, you have issues like kidnapping. You know, then again, I mean, I guess kidnapping is what ultimately created this game in the first place. If Donkey Kong did not kidnap Pauline, then we wouldn't be able to play as Mario and save the day and continue on into this fantastic franchise that carries on. So, fortunately, it's a good thing that today's video is, in fact, sponsored by kidnapping. Kidnapping.